As you can imagine, that was a very exciting time, but it was also not just a win for me, it was a win for my continent. And you saw some pictures earlier of Africa, where I come from, and we're an extraordinary continent, but no one from Africa had ever won this contest before. And I truly believe that it takes the first person to do something that other people start realizing was possible for them. So winning this contest for me was more about winning it for my continent than just a title for myself. And I'm excited to see if that's true, if more and more of speakers from Africa continue to shine, because I believe in every part of the world, you just need one champion to start the champion mindset, the champion journey. So I want to share with you a little bit of what went into this, but I want to ask you, even if you're a Rotarian or if you're a Toastmaster, in the context of an international speech contest, what do you think you need? What are the two things you think a speaker has to have if they're going to do well in an international contest? Let's just pop in the chat. What do you think you have to do well in an international speech contest? We're talking about speaking today, and I think it applies to everything. But let's see if anyone wants, okay, content, confidence. What else? What else do we think it could be? Content, confidence, anything else that would go into winning a contest? Emotional appeal, a presentation, hard work, absolutely. Lots of hard work. Assessing the audience, yes, very, very important. Even in a virtual world where you can't see them, you still have to think about them. Message. Okay, so we're touching on all the things that are necessary. Eye contact, motivation. These are the practice. Yes, a lot of practice. Confidence, emotional connection. Okay, so we know what goes into it. And if I had to take everything that you've put in the chat and distill it into two concepts, it would be that to become a champion in speaking, you need to have the right mindset and you need to have the right speech. So you need to have the right mindset, and that's the hard work and the dedication and the effort and the practice, but you also need the right speech, that message, emotional appeal, that desire that really connects with your audience. Okay, so right mindset and right speech. Now, the reason I know that is that last year was not the first time I've entered the international speech contest. So I know all about entering with the wrong mindset and the wrong speech. And that's why I was able to win last year, because I learned the hard way. The first time I entered the international speech contest was in 2012. And I was a new Toastmaster, but I was already a professional speaker. And so when it came to mindset, I had a kind of fixed mindset. I had an ego. I had this belief that I'm really good at speaking. I can write my speech the day before. I'll be fine. And that's the attitude that I approached my first contest with. My sister, Kay, on the other hand, was a nervous speaker. She'd been a Toastmaster for over a year. She entered the contest to stretch herself. She was so nervous that she worked on her speech for a month before the contest. I prepared the day before. I arrived on the night of the contest feeling cocky and confident. I had it in the bag. You're probably starting to see where this story is going, because I did not have it in the bag. I heard the ego-crushing news that I had come second, and my nervous sister, Kay, had won the club contest. I was absolutely horrified. And not only did she win the club contest, she went on to win the area contest. She then won the division contest, and she went on to become the third woman to ever win the Southern African District contest. Now, by now, I'd kind of gotten over my jealousy. I'd admitted to her how jealous I was that she'd beaten me. But I was starting to appreciate that she was approaching everything she did with this open mindset, this growth mindset, what I would call a champion mindset. She was not afraid to take on the challenge of her fears, overcome the obstacles of things that were between her and the contest, finding the right speech, putting in the effort, asking for feedback, learning from previous champions. And all that effort, that dedication, that perseverance, that persistence took her to the world semifinals, where for the first time in 6 months, she heard and in second place. That semifinal, she was beaten by a young speaker by the name of Ryan Avery, who 2 days later became the world champion. Now, you would think, watching my sister, I would have entered the contest the very next year and said, I can do this. But actually, when my ego saw how much work goes into winning, I always had a reason why I couldn't enter. Oh, I'm busy. I don't have the time. I don't have the speech. For the Toastmasters here, you might have used these excuses yourself around contest season. There was a lot of reasons why I didn't need to enter. And so I didn't buy my ticket. I didn't put my name in the hat. And every year in August, I would watch the champion of the year and I'd go, I wonder if I could have won. But you'll never know if you don't enter. So what changed? Why did I enter last year after not having entered for almost 6 years? I'd entered once in 2015, got as high as the division level, didn't win, thought, oh, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. But last year, I suddenly had what I believed was the right speech. And I finally had the right mindset. And so I entered the contest and I decided to give it everything I had. And so I want to take you through what I believe that champion mindset is, that each and every one of us has inside of us when we're passionate about achieving something. So this is, as I say, not just about speech contests. It's when you've got your eye on the prize of something huge that you're wanting to accomplish. What is the mindset you have to have if you're wanting to get those results? So let's look at developing the champion mindset. Now, the first thing we're guaranteed is there are going to be challenges and there are going to be obstacles between you and what you're wanting to achieve. In my case, it was lockdown. We were having to compete on Zoom. There was no audience. We have very bad internet in South Africa. We have regular power cuts. There were a lot of reasons why I shouldn't enter, but I had the right speech. So I was prepared to overcome those obstacles, to ask my husband to help with my little baby. He was only 6 months old or a year old when I entered. So I had to ask for help. I had to drive to my parents-in-law home to use their internet, but I was committed to seeing what I could do. So I put in that time. I overcame the challenges and the obstacles. And one of the biggest challenges, especially for the speakers here today, you'll know, is what do you speak about? What story do you tell? Like, what in your life has any value that could work in a speech contest? By the time I won the district level with the speech that I did about my mum, which was to leave the world better than you find it, I had to find a second speech. But I was committed to seeing if this trophy could come back to Africa. So I worked tirelessly to find that second speech. And I looked at my life. I looked at moments that had moved me, that had changed me. And I wrote lots of speeches until I found the one that became my world final speech, which was about my dad, teaching me that if you're not enjoying your life, write a different story. So embrace the challenges, embrace the obstacles, because on the other side of them, that's where success lies. Now, with that comes in the effort that goes into achieving anything. And by the time I heard that I was world champion, I was exhausted. I'd never worked so hard in my life. I started writing the speech that was my club speech 3 months before the club contest. I kind of learned from my sister that you can't write something the day before, you have to start early. And from there on in, I practiced at every club I could. I put in the hours, I recorded myself, I reached out to coaches. And by the time I became world champion, I had written more than 30 versions of both my speeches. I had delivered them in 5 continents in more than 16 countries to over 40 clubs, and more than 200 times each speech of rehearsing, practicing, filming, watching. So I think you're getting an idea of how much effort goes into winning anything. You know, the lottery is the only thing where you buy and you pray. Everything else takes effort. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I've actually chatted to other world champions since winning and other Toastmasters that have reached the finals of this contest. And I discovered I wasn't special. Every single one of them put in hours, days, weeks, months of effort. On average, they rehearsed their speech more than 200 times. They practiced at more than 40 clubs. I realized I wasn't special at all. Most of them, 70% of them, worked with a coach or a mentor, and 40% of them paid for that mentorship. I paid for my coach. I worked with a former world champion, Lance Miller. I paid him to coach me because I knew I couldn't do it myself. And so the effort that goes into winning anything is huge. By the time it was the last 2 months of the contest, I was working on my speech an hour to 3 hours a day. So what I will tell you is if you're trying to win at anything in your life and you're nervous about the amount of effort it's going to take, you can probably tell yourself, you know what? I can't find the time to do this. I don't have the time. I have too much going on, because we all have busy lives. What I learned last year is if you're passionate about something and if you have got a burning desire to do something extraordinary in your life, you will make the time. I wrote my speeches at 2 o'clock in the morning if I woke up with inspiration, but I was amazed that it was possible to make the time to perfect my speeches and get me to that final stage. Okay, so putting in the effort is huge when it comes to having the right mindset at winning in life. Probably the most important step of a champion mindset is making friends with feedback. Now, I love giving evaluations in Toastmasters. In fact, I was the district champion in 2015. I'm very good at telling people what to do with their speeches. Last year, I discovered I wasn't very good at being told what to do with my speech. In fact, in my first coaching session with Lance Miller, when he started telling me everything I needed to change in my semi-final speech, I didn't even want to pick up my pencil and write notes. My ego was listening to him and going, you know what, you've already won 4 levels. He was, he's the 2005 champion. He doesn't know that much anymore. But thankfully, my soul, I believe it's our soul that wants us to grow. My soul said, Verity, he's a world champion. He's put in the effort. He's embraced the challenges and the obstacles that come with this. You should probably listen. So I picked up my pen. I took notes. It was not easy. And I got off that call and I looked at what I'd written and I implemented it. And that was the turning point for me as a speaker, as a contestant, and as a person. When I made friends with feedback from someone who knew a lot more than me, and I had the humility to apply it, to change what I was doing, that was when my speaking went to another level. And I truly believe his feedback helped me to win my district contest and to deliver a speech that got me into the world semifinals. So if you do nothing else in your life, if you are trying to achieve something extraordinary, ask for feedback, apply it, and become more. And last but not least, to build on that is the opportunity and the ability and the willingness to learn from others. A lot of why I ended up winning this contest was because I watched as many previous world champions as I could. I looked at what they were doing, what worked about their success. How could I be inspired by their success rather than threatened by it? And that's always our choice. We can be threatened by success or we can be inspired by it. And when we're inspired by it, that's what lifts us to another level. So these are the steps that I believe will help every single person develop the right mindset when it comes to approaching contests or any big endeavor in your life. Because you guaranteed the obstacles, you guaranteed the challenges. Are you willing to get around them? Are you willing to put in the effort and take feedback that's going to help you improve, and then gain inspiration from those who are succeeding ahead of you? This bit is in your control. The result, the final result, the win, that's not always in our control. It's you put in the work and you hope for the best, but the win, I realized, was not guaranteed. And in the international speech contest this year, there are more than 35,000 people that have bought their ticket, have already put their name in the hats. They're already through to, I think, area or division levels. And only one person in August is guaranteed to win and become the world champion. But every single other contestant is guaranteed to grow. And I really want you to take that on board, that one person is guaranteed to win in a contest, but everyone else is guaranteed the growth. And I truly believe, and I walked away last year with a beautiful trophy. You can see me holding it there in the picture. It's a great trophy, but I could lose that trophy. That could burn down. But the growth can never be taken away from me. So I say to people, when it comes to a contest, choose the growth. The win is a bonus, but choose the growth, because that means you've approached it with the right mindset. And that ultimately is the gift that we receive when we buy our ticket, when we put our name in the hat. Okay, so let's talk about gifts. Who here likes getting gifts? I know I'm a big fan of gifts, but I've got anyone else here who loves to get gifts? Who enjoys unwrapping? I see some hands going up, some of us, and I actually have got a gift for you today. I know that here's someone saying, me, we all love a good present. Why not? I do have a gift for you today. If you sign up for my newsletter, I'm giving you a little booklet that will outline everything I speak about today. And there's a little bonus surprise that you might enjoy when you get that. But I love gifts. I've grown up in a culture where between birthdays and Christmas, gifts are a big thing. And for me, Christmas Day is my favorite day of the year because we have this Christmas tree with twinkling lights and it's just packed with presents. It's my absolute favorite. But about 8 years ago, I came downstairs on Christmas morning and things looked different. We had not one present under the tree. And I felt this sense of apprehension. Something was wrong. But I also felt a little bit of anticipation because we'd decided to do things a little differently that year. We decided that instead of everyone getting lots of gifts, some of which they didn't need, everyone who came to our Christmas party was going to bring one gift. And the gift needed to come from their homes, and it needed to be a white elephant. Now, you have elephants, we have elephants. I hope you know I'm not talking about an animal. I am talking about a white elephant that is a metaphor for that useless thing that maybe you bought once or maybe someone gave to you, and it's been sitting at the back of a cupboard or the top of a shelf, and you haven't used it for years. So our challenge for this Christmas was that you found that thing, you dusted it off, you wrapped it beautifully, and then you tried to entice everyone else to choose your gift. Now, you can imagine this brought on a lot of laughter. We had the most hilarious afternoon because there were small gifts, big gifts, strange gifts. And after all that effort, all we would find was a oversized coffee cup or a never before used cookbook, or my absolute favorite, a rusty hamster cage. People had really gone into the back of their cupboards and found things they weren't using. But what was amazing was the longer it took someone to unwrap the present, the more they enjoyed getting to the gift, the more likely they were to want to take it home and make it meaningful. I got the coffee cup and I looked at it and I said, oh, I'm going to turn this into a pot plant holder. My brother-in-law's bachelor best friend got the cookbook and he looked at it and went, I'm going to impress my next date. And my cousin, who got the rusty hamster cage, looked at it. She looked through the bars and she said, my daughter just said she wants a hamster. Well, I mean, we roared with laughter. But you're probably wondering, why is the world champion of public speaking telling us about her crazy Christmas traditions? And so I will tell you. What I've realized in the 11 years that I've been in Toastmasters, in the 7 months it took me to win the world championship, I've realized one fundamental truth, and that is that a speech is a gift that you give to your audience. I really want you to think about this. A speech is a gift you give to your audience. And I mean, we call it presenting. It's got the word present in it. But if we think about our speech, about our communication as a gift for our audience, it changes the way we write it. Now, a lot of us said we like gifts, we love receiving gifts. We have choices in how we give gifts. So you might choose to wrap your gift like this and give it to someone. So there's a choice. If you're feeling really unimaginative, you could wrap it like this and take all the fun out of it and tell them exactly what they're getting. And I do this because a lot of the times in Toastmasters, we sometimes have told people in our title what's inside our speech. So if you are going to wrap it, simply wrap it like this, okay? Or you could wrap it like this. So I want to ask you, if I was with you right now, if I was giving you one of these gifts right now, and I just want you to pop it in the chat, which one do you want to get from me? Do you want to get the bag or the box? If you had to choose right now, which gift interests you the most, which is the one that you think would be the most valuable to you, which one do you want me to give you? Okay, I see one person coming in the box, the blue gift wrap, the box. Okay, most of us want the box. Beautiful. Why? Why do you think you want the box more than the bag? If you had to, it looks exciting. I like that. It shows care. It's attractive. Beautiful. Okay, so it's colorful, so it's interesting, it's exciting, it shows promise. I love it. Okay, some of us want the bag, that's okay, but most of us want the box. Because like a great presentation, it shows that some effort went in, and we love to see that someone's prepared and they've thought about us. And also it creates that intrigue. Okay, it looks exciting, something good is coming up. So let's look at what that is. Because if your speech is a gift to your audience, there are three things you want to create so that they want to open your gift. And the first one is coming through in the chat, is curiosity. If people are curious about what you're going to say, they're going to listen. And so this doesn't matter if you're in Toastmasters, if you're in Rotary, if you're wanting to move people, if you're wanting to change them, if you're wanting them to buy into what you're saying, get them curious. Get them curious as to what it means for them, or how they can be involved, or what they can do differently. And you can create curiosity as early on as your title. My World Champion speech, the title was A Great Read. It didn't give away what the speech was about. People were intrigued. Is this about a book? Is she going to tell me something I could read? I'm not sure. But it created curiosity. And then throughout my speech, I looked for moments to create curiosity in my audience. And something as simple as saying, and you know what I thought? Or you won't believe what happened next. That creates curiosity. So look at the way you're communicating and ask yourself, am I using curiosity as well as I could do? Am I asking interesting questions at the start of the speech that get the audience going, oh, wow, where's this going? And if they're leaning in, they are with you. Okay. So with curiosity, the second thing you want to create is connection. Now, when people are listening to a speech and they're connecting with the experience the speaker is sharing, they're again with you. So connection happens when you speak about experiences that everyone can identify with. Now, it obviously depends on our audience, but as Toastmasters, we are speaking to the world. We are speaking to an international audience from all countries, all cultures, all genders, all races, all religions. So we need to speak in a way that is universally connecting. When you touch on things like facing a fear, overcoming an obstacle, chasing a dream, being humbled and learning a lesson, most people can identify. My speech was about being unhappy that my life didn't look the way I dreamed it would. I think most people, especially as we get a bit older, we have that experience of, I thought it was going to look like this, and now it looks like that. That was a universally connecting experience. And then you share the lesson that you learned from that. So look at your communication and go, am I speaking in a way and touching on everyday experiences and everyday emotions that my audience will be able to connect to? And if you've created that curiosity and connection, you will get what I believe we're all looking for as communicators, is commitment to your message. And I saw that at our Christmas. The more people had enjoyed unwrapping it and felt curious about what was inside, the more committed they were to taking their funny gift home and making it meaningful. So when we create commitment in our audience, it's because they've been curious. It's because they felt connected to our journey and the story that we've shared. So every time we communicate, we want to create these three things in our audience. Now, how do we go about writing that great speech? And I've kind of distilled, since winning, what I believe are the 4 steps to writing a winning speech. There's a lot of theory that goes into speaking, into communicating, into delivering with power. But if I had to take all of it and get it down into 4 really simple steps, I believe these are them. And before we kind of dive into them, I just want to touch on the fact that often it's hard to know what to talk about. You know, what story do I share? What's been big or meaningful in my life that is going to have an impact on my audience? And I imagine a lot of you have had this experience. What do I even speak about? I want you to consider for a moment that, like your cupboard with white elephant things that you don't use anymore, your life might be filled with white elephant memories, moments, little fleeting experiences you've had, that if you took them and dusted them off and wrote a great story about them, they could move your audience. If you could create curiosity and connection, and I've been saying everywhere I speak around the world, that you could tell a speech, you could do a speech on something as simple as how you learned to boil an egg. Something as simple as that, if it was told beautifully and kept the audience curious and connected, because everyone probably has had to learn to boil an egg at some point, you could probably get commitment to your message. So let's look at how you go about writing that winning speech. The first thing, and we're going to use the word gift to unpack it so it's easy for you to remember. The first thing we want to do as communicators is get clear on our message. And again, that's why I'm saying this doesn't matter if you're in the international speech contest, or you're preparing for a club meeting, or you're addressing some fellow leaders, or you're talking in your community. What is it that you want them to know, do, or feel when you finish speaking? In the international speech contest, we've got 7 minutes to speak to the world. Ask yourself, if I had 7 minutes to speak to the world, what would I want to say? Once you know where you want to go, the trick is to be able to say that message in 10 words or less. There's an author, Diane Boyer. She says, if you can't say your message in a sentence, you're not going to be able to say it in an hour, let alone 7 minutes. So really think about that. If you can't say your message of your presentation in a sentence, you're not going to be able to say it in an hour. So see if you can boil your message down to 10 words or less. And it needs to be an action statement. It needs to be something that people can do. My winning speech, the message was, if you're not enjoying your life, write a different story. It was a very simple message, write a different story. And then my whole speech supported that one message. If you look at previous Toastmasters World Champions, it's been simple things like reach out if you want to become better. Your words have power. The victory is in the try. And if you watch those speeches, you'll see they say the message numerous times throughout their speech so that the audience can take it in and take it home. Okay, so spend time getting clear on your message. This is not an easy step. Sometimes it's not clear when you start working on your speech exactly what you're trying to say. But the more you distill that 10 words or less take-home phrase, the easier it will be to write the rest of your speech. My winning message, write a different story, only came to me 10 days before the World Finals. I had many different messages the same story was giving. I had things like be happy, or get grateful, or look for the good in your life. But it wasn't working for all audiences. It wasn't connecting. When I got to write a different story, I started getting feedback from my audiences that everyone understood the message. So it might take time to get to your message. And this could be your core purpose for your life or the core purpose for a speech. But why are you communicating? What do you want people to know, do, or feel when you finish communicating? Get clear on your message. The I of gift is to intentionally craft your stories. Great speeches center around great stories because stories have got a heartbeat. And when people are listening to them, they're enthralled, they're intrigued, they're encouraged. So we need to tell our stories intentionally. Again, it doesn't have to have been a life-changing event that you're talking about. It could be a simple story of how you learned to boil an egg. But if you bring energy and intrigue and curiosity into that experience, people will be there in the kitchen with you. They'll be worried that you're going to overboil the egg. They'll go, oh, are you going to burn yourself? You know, what if the egg doesn't work? What if it's a rotten egg? You could create all kinds of connection just talking about boiling an egg. And I'm telling you this because so often people say, I don't have anything to speak about. You've had problems you've overcome. You've got people that have inspired you. It can be small moments, but craft that story. Okay, so how do we intentionally craft a story? Let's just take the word story so that it's easy to remember. The S stands for setting. As quickly as possible, let your audience know the setting. Where and when is the story taking place? Okay, so just is it time, a day, is it night, what age are you? Whatever's relevant, you put as little as possible in to quickly paint the picture. My winning speech, I was 40, unmarried, no children, and I was so depressed that I was in my bedroom eating ice cream and watching Netflix. Setting, the audience knew where they were. Now, once you've got your setting, you want to introduce the hero, because our stories are always about a hero. And for people to connect to a hero, they need the hero to have an obstacle. We don't ever like listening to stories where everything worked out. It's nice that it works out at the end, but we want to know that some effort went in. So let the audience know who the hero is and what is the obstacle the hero is facing. Again, it doesn't have to be life-changing. I mean, mine was, I'm miserable and am I ever going to get married and have a child? That was my obstacle, but my real obstacle was my bad attitude and being ungrateful. So you want the audience to connect to the hero because they're human and because they're struggling with something. And then see if you can escalate the obstacle. So the more tension we create, the more curious the audience is to see if we're going to resolve it. So once you've established the obstacle, maybe give 2 or 3 extra examples that heightens the tension. And just when the audience can't take the tension any longer, you need to introduce the resolution. What is going to help you get past your obstacle? Now, the best advice I've ever heard on this came from the 1999 world champion, Craig Valentine, where he says you cannot be the guru of your own story. You cannot be the mentor or the messenger or the guru. It needs to come from someone or something outside of you. So we can learn lessons from many things. In my speech, my lesson came from my dad, and it was a letter that said, write a different story. And the messenger came to me just as I was the most stuck and the most caught by my obstacles. And it provided a resolution for my problem. 2013 world champion Prez Vasilev, his guru was a flat tire. He had a flat tire that taught him he needed to reach out. So you can find the messenger, the guru, in many parts of your life. But once you get the resolution, once the message comes to the hero to overcome their obstacles, show how you transform, share the transformation, what changed, what did you learn, how did you grow? And only then do you make your point. So only right at the end of your speech do you let people know what is the point, what do they need to do? Because if you've told that story in an intentionally crafted way, they are already transformed just by listening. And then you don't have to work too hard to push the message down their throat because you've already shown that your message works because the hero is transformed. Okay, so get clear on your message, intentionally craft your story to support that message. And then step number 3, which is the step I believe helped me win the world championships last year, is fill in the gaps for your audience. Your speech is a gift for them. So what do they want? Now, the only way to find out what they want is to ask them. So when I asked people, what's missing in my speech? What else do you need here? Is there anything you want me to talk more about? They told me. And that helped me to write a winning speech. I truly believe I would not have won last year without asking my audience what they wanted. In the same way as leaders, we need to ask the people we're leading, what do you need from me? What are the gaps? How can I fill them? That's how we become great leaders. It's also how we become great communicators. So audience members said to me things like, I love that you changed your life in your speech, but how long did it take? I hadn't thought to put that in. Suddenly I could just add, it took me 6 months before I could leave and get my own cottage. It took me a year before I met my husband. It took me 4 years to become a mother. And I could fill in that gap for them. So ask your audience. And I really encourage you, because of this new virtual world, ask people who are different to you. My speeches started improving when I started practicing internationally, because I could hear what international audiences wanted from me. I could hear where maybe I was causing offense or where I was causing confusion, and I could change my speeches. So fill in the gaps for your audience, make friends with feedback, and apply it to your communication so that you can take it to that next level. And last but not least, the way to ensure that your next speech is a gift for your audience, you want to tie it all together. Great speeches, whether they're 7 minutes or 45 minutes long, they're simple. And any ideas that have been explored throughout the speech should get tied together in the conclusion. Often what we do as communicators is we suddenly start adding in new ideas, new thoughts in our conclusion, and we confuse our audience. So look at the speech you've written, look at the story you've told, and your conclusion should just be a matter of tying up ideas from what you've already said. Can you take something from your introduction and change it in the conclusion to show the shift? Can you take parts of your story and also refer back to them? Can you even refer back to your title? I finished my world champion speech by promising people that if they wrote a different story, their life would make for a great read. It was the title of my speech. So if you have written your story simply and with power and conviction, all you need to do to end your speech is to tie all those threads together and deliver your message to the audience as the final gift. Because ultimately, the message that you've given them is what they're going to take home. It's what they're going to apply in their own lives. So 4 simple steps to create communication that is a gift. Simple, but they do take work. They take intention. They take having the right mindset to be able to put in the effort and the challenge, overcome the obstacles. But if you look at all communication you do going forward with an intention that it's a gift for your audience, and with the intention that you want to grow as a speaker as a result of the speech that you're giving, and then look at what is the message I'm giving? Let me get clear on it. How am I intentionally crafting the story so that I create connection and curiosity in my audience? Am I filling in the gaps for my audience? Have I thought about what are the extra pieces of information they might need? What are the things I can leave out because they don't need it? And as I conclude, am I tying it all together so that when I finish speaking, I get that commitment to my message that I'm looking for? This is the opportunity that every single speaker, communicator, leader has whenever we open our mouths, to choose that our communication is a gift and to use devices like curiosity and connection to create commitment. So I really want to encourage those of you that are in Toastmasters that are maybe on the contest journey this year, see if these steps can help you. But if you're not in the contest, look at the next time you're standing up to speak and see if this can help you add value to your audience and let your communication be a gift. Now, my invitation to you is please pick up your pen, write your winning story, share your voice with the world, because we need to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DTM Verity, for that amazing session you had given all of us. Let us all give a huge round of applause to DTM Verity. We also have our area director, DTM Kanchan. Let us appreciate the presence of DTM Kanchan as well. DTM Kanchan, I will ask you to speak after the question answer session of DTM Verity. Now, I would request everyone to please turn on your cameras. Let us have a group photo. Waiting for a few more videos to get started. Uh, whosoever can start, please do start your videos so we can capture this wonderful moment. So I'm without spending time, I'm in the first window. Okay, then now without further ado, let me share the video of one another video of DTM Verity Price. Can someone confirm it? Can someone confirm it is audible? It is audible.
Maybe I'm crazy.
Can you hear the audio? Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes, please go ahead.
Maybe I'm crazy thinking that this might work. Maybe I'm crazy wanting something that might hurt. Maybe it's madness to start something that might end. Maybe it's easier to just not begin. Now maybe delusional, believing this stands a chance when so many before have proved that good things don't last. Seems a little bit naive to step in anyway, but I'd be crazy if I didn't take a step around the corner, confronting all that I don't know, the storms that I might weather, the times of being out of control, not having all the answers was never a reason not to try. What if the right brothers hadn't believed that they could fly? Believe that they could fly. I'd be crazy not to try.
Thank you so much again, BTM Validi, for that wonderful session. Audience, you can post your questions in the chat, and I would like to congratulate you again on behalf of Vivari Toastmaster Club and Loka at Bangalore West for winning the World Champion of Public Speaking. And also the videos which you have made that are also amazing. So we had taken a few questions before this session. I would like to take few of them. There are actually a lot of sessions. I will be taking few of them. So one of the question is that how to come with a winning topic.
So that's, I think the whole point of a winning topic is the message universally relatable to people? Is it relevant right now? And you'll find that in many stories, there lie multiple messages. So my story of my speech, as I said, I had numerous messages, but when I got to write a different story, I knew that I touched on something that could possibly win because it was also relevant to Toastmasters. We write speeches. We are passionate about writing. So really look at refining the message. If your story is enjoyable, if it's well told, can you get to a message and a lesson that will make people go, oh, yes, that's relevant to me? And that can take effort, but keep looking at the challenges that have changed you and see if you can share something from there.
So next question is how to stop being nervous while delivering the speech.
Oh, so nerves are something that you overcome with time. The more you stand up, the more you speak, the more you handle your nerves. I used to skip school if I had to read in our assembly. I was that scared of speaking. But when I had something to say, that gave me the courage to start facing the fears. And it is only through time. But breathing, making sure your body language is open before you speak, so it's not sitting like this, breathing in, and also picture yourself having finished delivering your speech and see that it went well and feel what it feels like to have connected with your audience, have given them a gift. That also sets your mind up for success. But just keep showing up, keep speaking. The nerves do get better with time.
Thank you so much for that. The next question is, what steps do you take to write an actual speech? How do you start writing a speech?
So again, I write down a list of exciting moments in my life, challenges I've overcome, funny experiences. And during the World Championship last year, I made the decision that my second speech would be about my dad because my semi-final speech was about my mum. So it at least gave me a focus. And then I wrote numerous speeches about him, but I just started with telling the story. And I tried to rewrite it as vividly as I could remember, because until you've got something to edit, you don't have anything. So write something and then improve it. But start by writing the story and then go, okay, how can I say this more simply? How can I shorten this? Is there a metaphor or an analogy that will explain this more powerfully than this long paragraph? So that's where the work starts. But just start by writing the story and then build on it.
Thank you. One another question is that how do you limit your speech in the time limit?
How do you?
How to limit the speech in the time limit?
So this is where you have to have written it, typed it up, and then you will get your word count and it'll tell you how many words you've got. Average speaking rate for a contest speech is 100 to 110 words a minute. So you're wanting a speech that is 700 words, 750 max. And if you are writing within that time limit, or word limit, it's going to help you refine the way you write shorter sentences, more vivid words. It'll also help you remember it. But look at your word count. If you're 900 words, you're going to go over time.
Oh, okay, thank you. Another question is, what if you go blank during delivering a speech? That is maybe
So
during,
that's
that is, I think it is because of not being prepared for the speech, but you can give some insights.
No, so that is everyone's worst nightmare. I think it does happen sometimes. I mean, in a speech contest, you're just hoping it doesn't happen. But if it does happen in a normal speaking thing, being able to say, "Oh, can you believe it? I've forgotten. Let me find," the audience, they're going to forgive you. They forgive that authenticity, that honesty. In a speech contest, I forgot one of my words in the finals, and it's been quite funny because people always comment that I missed the opportunity for alliteration. I said, life is full of difficulties, detours, and it was meant to say delays. But if you watch, you'll see difficulties, detours, things that go wrong. I just filled it in. So you just also trust yourself. Let your tongue fill in the gap for you. But it's again a process of practicing, doing it many times, learning to be okay with sometimes going blank. The audience wants you to succeed. So maybe remember that.
Another question is what are the secrets behind the championship of public speaking? Like, I know you have done a lot of hard work, but there's another question, so you can give
So
some insight
what are the secrets?
of winning the world champion of public speaking.
Having a message that resonates with a universal audience, and crafting your story and delivering that story so that you use your space. It's a very technical competition. You want vocal variety, you want body language, you want real authentic emotion. So it comes down to planning that story, that speech, every word, every sentence. As I say, the win is not guaranteed. As you get better, you can learn to technically get closer to it, but the growth is the one thing that we do get. But as I said, 30 versions written, delivered more than 200 times. Maybe that's one of the secrets.
One another question is, any books you would like to recommend for the to read, and like not
Sure.
specifically on public speaking, but like would you like to
Yeah,
recommend any?
so I don't have many. I mean, I've read a few books on public speaking and I'm busy writing one, but in terms of actual books that have changed my life, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, such a big wake up that sometimes what we're looking for is right here. And that was maybe my lesson last year, was that I could be a champion in my own, from my bedroom. I didn't need to go anywhere. I just needed to do the work where I was. And The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz, which I think speaks very much to the Rotary principles as well. Gosh, there's so many, but those are the two that are standing out right now.
Okay, so another question is, which tense do you most prefer in your story?
Ah, so I'm seeing this a lot because I'm coaching quite a few of the contestants this year. And some people write a story that happened in their past in the present tense. And I find it in little moments of present tense can work, but it's not how we would tell a story if we were speaking to a friend. So I think the past tense is more powerful, and then you can break to the present tense as and when you need to. But it's a tricky one. It's almost like, would I speak like this to a friend? And if the answer is no, then change the way you've written it, because ultimately this is a conversation when we're giving a speech, and what's my natural way of speaking.
Okay, and another one more question is, we always say that a speech that we prepare for ISC should be have strong model. Certainly, everybody is not experienced to bring a strong model. What ideas one should implement in that scenario?
So I could, strong moral, a
Yeah.
strong,
Yes.
so
Right.
like a
Correct.
strong message.
Yes. Right.
We all have strong messages to share. I just think sometimes we can't see it ourselves. And again, I'm seeing that with a lot of people I coach. They come with a great speech and a story, and it's only through talking about it that they suddenly see that there's a much bigger lesson that lies underneath it. So this work with a mentor, work with a coach, club members, go, what are you hearing when I tell this story? What lesson stands out for you? And you'll find in the simplest thing, there can still be a powerful message. And it doesn't have to be life-changing. And I use Prez Vasilev's 2013 champion speech. He was changing a tire, and that made him realize that he didn't want to ask for help. And his speech showed that you need to reach out if you want to get ahead in life. But it was a simple story and a simple message, but we can all relate.
Another question is how to avoid the sing-song tone, like how to have more vocal variety while giving the speech.
Sure. So again, the way we write a speech is not the way we speak. So another thing to bear in mind is, once you've written a speech, put it down and then speak it away from the script and find your conversational voice, and then change what you've written so that it's more the way you speak. But if you bring in little moments of dialogue, if you look at building up intensity, maybe there's a list of things that go wrong and you can say those a bit faster, and then pause before saying something really important. That's going to help you bring that modulation, that variety in. Shorter sentences always help, and vivid words, because suddenly you'll see it exploded and your voice will go exploded. It'll go with the word. So look at the choice of words. They should also help you shift your vocal variety.
Okay. One another question is how to overcome the stage fear.
How to
How to
open.
overcome stage fear.
Oh, overcome stage fear. You have to stand up and speak. I was terrified of speaking in public. I then started songwriting, and I had to find the courage to start singing. I just had to keep on doing it. The only way to overcome it is to face it. So Toastmasters, that's what it gives us the opportunity to do. Keep speaking, get the feedback, come back, try it again. You will teach your brain that you're not in danger when you speak, that it's safe. And that takes time.
One more question is, After winning the world champion of public speaking, what are the career and financial benefits? What are the opportunities to explore?
Sure. So there are amazing opportunities. It's maybe not as glamorous as people think. It has helped my work because I was already a professional speaker. So it's brought me a lot of extra speaking work. What people don't realize when you win, you become property of Toastmasters International, and I have to give up every Saturday speaking in 3 to 5 countries. My husband's not happy, I'm not going to lie. It's my pleasure and my privilege, but I didn't realize that came with the territory. I didn't realize I was going to have to teach people how to win. I was so busy just trying to write my speech and deliver it. So there's a whole added responsibility that comes with a title. And sometimes, we just think there's the glamour, but actually there's the responsibility. And know that if this is something you want for your life, why do you want to win? Because if you think it's going to change your life like the lottery, it doesn't. You still have to work hard, but you also have to give back.
Thank you for that. Another question is how do you manage the time to succeed the work-life balance?
Yeah, it's challenging. It's a bit better, but the contest it was very unbalanced, I'm not going to lie. But I was very driven. I wanted to see if I could win. So I gave it everything. Now I use my Google Calendar religiously. I block out time for family. I block out weekends where I'm not available for Toastmasters so I can be with my family. So I actually block out the other important parts of my life, and then I know which parts are available for work.
I can totally agree. Like after winning, I was almost 6 months behind chasing your manager. Please give a speech slot. Please give a speech slot on a weekend. And she's busy. She's busy now. So I can totally agree on that point. Another question is uh, for the winning speech, the message and the conclusion are what are the key aspects from your personal experience? How do we convert more powerful conclusion?
So this is where you want to make sure you're not introducing new concepts in your conclusion. It needs to pretty much back up everything you've shared to that point. And if you watch my world champion speech, my conclusion was actually very short, and it was completely based on what I'd said in the speech earlier. I started saying my dad used to read me fairy tales, so I wanted a fairy tale. My conclusion starts with, do you know what I've realized? Fairy tales are great to read to my son. Real life is hard, which is what the whole point of my speech was. But if you are the author of your life, choose. Are you going to let your life be written for you or by you? So everything I said in that conclusion tied to what I'd said earlier. Conclusions can be a minute, 45 seconds to a minute of your speech. They don't have to be very long if your story has made your point for you. So really look, is my story fully showing the impact of my message? Am I showing how I've applied it in my life, how I've changed, how I've transformed? Then it's just a short offering back to the audience to do the same.
Another one more question is related to this one only. What are the tips you would like to give for a great opening of the message or the speech?
So things are quite challenging, especially virtually. I actually chose in my semi-final speech to do a live audience style opening, which was raise your hands if you ever had a mother who used to give you unwanted advice. So I just thought for fun, I would stand out and do what you would normally do with a live audience. You sometimes want to start straight into the setting, picture the scene, or just explain where you get right where you are. Kind of avoid famous quotes, because it means it's no longer your speech. You're relying on someone famous and someone other than you to deliver the message. So it's more, can you throw your audience into a setting so that they're right there with you, or ask them a challenging question that makes them curious.
Okay. Another question is how to decide on what topic should we write on a speech?
Any topic works if it's a story you enjoy telling, as long as the message is universal, doesn't offend anyone. We have to be so careful nowadays, but simple human moments that you've had that have changed you or taught you something. And, you can then build that into a powerful speech. And that's why also working with a mentor or a coach helps, because sometimes they help you to see the power in your own story, that maybe you're going, that's just a little thing that happened to me, but maybe there's something in that. But topics that are universal, life being difficult, overcoming challenges, learning a humbling life lesson, chasing your dreams. These are the very universal subjects that most audiences will nod their heads with. And maybe to illustrate, you'll see that twice today in my talk, I asked if everyone likes to win. And everyone says yes, because that's universal. And I asked if people like receiving gifts. Again, universal. We all like receiving gifts. So am I touching on things that all people want and like?
Okay. Another question is the one major step to start with is with the club speech. So if you can't be a first place at a club, then you can't go to the area division, then to the district, and neither to the world champion. So this is the major bar is that. So how to overcome that, like from club to area, how to go?
So my coach, Lance Miller, lost for 9 years at his own club before he progressed in the contest. So this is a very normal problem. It took him 13 attempts to become world champion. So not a quick journey. This is why you start writing your speech 3 months before the club contest. Practice it at other clubs, get feedback, fill in the gaps for the audience, tie it all together, intentionally craft your story, do everything I just taught you, but start early. Start writing that speech on the 28th of August when they announce the next world champion. And that's going to give you more of a chance of getting to area, division, district, and beyond.
Thank you. The one more question is: can you use the same speech from a club to district to the world champions?
No, you use the same speech from club to the world semifinals. If you make the finals, it's a brand new speech that you've never competed with before. And so that is the challenge, is you need 2 winning speeches. And that's where all the effort and kind of, hard work comes from.
So another question is what made you motivated to write a speech on your father?
And did I take his permission? I see that. So my father died when I was 24. It was a very important part of my life. So I can't ask his permission, but let me tell you, I know my dad, and he's thrilled that he became an international star through my speech. And I was sharing what an incredible father he was. So that for me was easy. I wasn't telling a difficult part of his life. And my father was an inspiration, as was my mother. And last year, if I'm honest, as much as I was hoping I could win and I wanted to see if I could win, I also very clearly made a decision that my contest journey was a tribute to my parents. And so not a normal motivation, but I thought, you know what, they were amazing in my life and no one ever knew who they were. Here's my chance to share them with the world. I miss them. It was my chance of reliving their legacies.
Another question is like I don't like I won't agree with this, but still I will ask: does the judges prejudice on their scores?
You don't know what happens with judging. So I think whether we like it or not, there might be different preferences or prejudices that come through. We have to be careful as Toastmasters that we're not just trying to pull on heartstrings and get the judges' vote. Ultimately, I wrote my speech for my audience. I asked them what they needed from me, and I wrote the best possible speeches that I could. But yes, judges can be prejudiced, and to be honest, maybe that's why not many women have won. Maybe in the past that was a prejudice that was there. We don't know. But we've seen in recent years a lot of foreigners winning, with English not being their first language, sharing messages from their hearts and winning the world. So I think the world has changed. If you are speaking authentically and you have applied everything you've learned around speechcraft, that is going to win at the end of the day.
Okay. So one another question I would definitely like to ask in the benefit of all the audience. So like there are like a lot of people participate in World Champions. I think around 30,000 people participate in World Champion of Public Speaking every year, but only one win. But the remaining 29,999 don't win. What message would you like to give to them?
One person is going to win, everyone else will grow. So enter this contest for the growth. You know, this is not about the contest. This is about becoming a better speaker. It should influence the way you speak at work, the way you speak in your life. So enter it for that reason. Use the contest to become a better communicator. The win is, yeah, one person.
And one more question I would like to ask, like most of time it happens at the club level. The same case, like in the club also around 10, 12 people will participate, but only one will win. But the others will feel disheartened. So what message do you would you like to give them?
So it's very hard at the club level. I agree, because I've lost at club level before. Here's a strange concept. A humorous contest in 2012. I came third in my club, and I knew I had a funny speech, and they'd had a tiebreaker judge for all first, second, third. And so I joined another club because I believed my speech could do better. So I joined another club, I entered their contest, and I ended up coming second in my district. So sometimes back yourself. If you really believe your speech is meant to go somewhere, join another club and see. It was other people told me to do it as well. So I was like, okay, I'm going to see. And I was right. That club, that speech got past club. So join another club. I mean, I don't know if I should be giving that advice. I'm sure clubs would love to get extra members. But if you really think you've got something this year, try it again. Come back next year. Keep trying. That's the journey, you know. And I think there's probably many world champions that we haven't seen because they didn't make it out of their club for whatever reason. So it's a hard one.
One last question I would take from the chat, and then I would unmute our area director, DPM Kanchan. So this one last speech is like, how do you usually give your speeches? Like at the semi-finals, how you have given the quarterfinals, at your district level, how you have given this your speeches, like by sitting or standing.
Standing. So today I'm sitting because this is my third keynote today, and I can't stand for all of them. But for contest speeches, standing with a plain wall behind you, good lighting, and then you make use of the screen. This is your stage.
Okay. Uh, DPM Kanchan, would you like to say something?
Yeah, good morning, Verity, and good evening to people across the globe. Good morning and good evening together, because I think I'm in a global event right now, and I can't have a better Saturday evening rather than listening to you. So thank you for sharing your words of wisdom and practice that you have done for years. My this was one of the great sessions where I could hear from an expert like you who have nailed it. So a leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So thank you for being a true leader. I really loved it. My question to you is, people say, and this is the renewal season in India, people say, why Toastmasters? I have done it for 1 year. I have done it for 2 years. I'm a dual member. I have done it. My question to you is, what brings you back to Toastmaster years after years after years? Why should others renew too? So can we have a renewal message from you, being the area director? I could save my areas, and that could be learning for all. So thank you for that in advance, because I think I need to market it well when you are here right away.
Oh, wow. So why do I renew, and why did I come back after being a mum? Actually, I stopped being a member and I came back. This organization, it fills my soul with delight, because I see people facing fears. I see people finding their voices. I get to be a cheerleader for them. I get to support their growth, and I get them to do the same for me. And so whether it's been serving as a leader or growing as a speaker, I keep coming back because it keeps filling up my cup. I learn something new at every Toastmasters meeting. I love the different topics. I love the different approaches to speaking. I love watching leaders figure out how to lead a club. And yeah, I am a member for life. The growth. I'm here for the growth. There we go.
Thank you so much, DTM Verity and DTM Punchin. I would now like to hand over to uh, Pranjala, Rotak Pranjala, to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, DTM Verity, for this wonderful session. I would now like to call upon the Sergeant at Arms of our Rotrack Bangalore West, Rotractor Sahana, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. First, I would like to thank our guest of honor, DTM Verity Price, the World Champion of Public Speaking 2021. I believe that I'm speaking on behalf of everyone when I say that this was an extremely rewarding and inspiring session. Thank you, ma'am. I would also like to thank the Vivedi Toastmasters for the amazing teamwork, planning, and the experience we've had. I would also like to thank all the Rotaract clubs that collaborated with us, that is Rotaract Club of Agneya, Rotaract Club of Atria, Marathali, Nagarbavi, and Rotaract Club of Bangalore Southwest and Vidyaranyapura. President of BYD Toastmasters, Toastmaster Vamshi, the President of Rotaract Bangalore West, Rotaract Zaya S. Bangera, and the coordinators for the event, Rotaract Pranjala, Toastmaster Saurabh, and Toastmaster Shaunak, for managing every aspect and proficiently and enabling a smooth flow of events throughout. I would also like to thank all the attendees, Rotaractors, Toastmasters, and everyone for your valuable presence. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Pranjala.
Thank you so much for this vote of thanks, Rotractor Sahana. I now call upon Toastmaster Saurabh Gandhi to continue the session.
Thank you so much. If you would like to join our Toastmasters Club, we would like to have you. You can fill our feedback form, and we will get in touch with you. Also, the recording of the same will be available on the YouTube. And we will be sharing the YouTube links soon. Now, we declare the meeting has been adjourned. If anyone is having any questions, feel free to unmute and you can ask, you can give your feedback.
Thank you so much for
Say goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Request everyone to fill the feedback form so we can have a better experience for you moving forward.